Evan, I did something really dumb. I agreed to make a show reel for this e-bike in order to get the e-bike for free. This is not really an interesting shot. Okay, he's gonna turn around. I don't know a lot about chasing vehicles, making commercials, planning a shoot. When I invited you out here to show you my new e-bike, I actually invited you out here to help me show these guys how a pro plans a commercial shoot and executes it.
Yeah, I'm excited to do it.
I'm Joshua Bardwell. You're gonna learn something today. Well, the good news is that I didn't agree to actually make a whole commercial for Hovsco in exchange for this bike. I told them that in the middle of this video, I would do a little 2-minute sponsor spot. We'll get to that later. So I don't think we need to plan like an entire commercial.
Yeah.
Let's just focus on, let's say you've been subbed into this and you're gonna get the drone shots that they're gonna put into a bigger commercial.
Okay.
Okay?
And typically what I would always do a 30 to 45 second clip, and I always like to have some form of like a variety. Like I don't want a bunch of shots, I don't want all these orbits, I don't want a bunch of chasing. I like to have some variety. So for one, we need to figure out where we're gonna shoot, or maybe the different locations that we're gonna shoot.
Okay.
And then we can come up with kind of a shot list using the environment. That's where FPV is so valuable, is that it can use the environment to its advantage. You know, you can come off the trees, come off the water, wherever it is, and really showcase where you are while also having that action and that dynamic shot. So we need to first scout the location, and that's something that's important in all shoots. You can kind of visualize. I like to visualize like line of sight. Some people like to fly around in their scouts or whatever. I typically like to be on like boots on the ground, look around, and just get an idea of what the environment is. Really what you don't want to do with FPV, or if you want to utilize FPV the best that it possibly can be, you don't want to do right next to the subject, tracking them, or, I mean, you can do that, and that's something that's important, but you don't want to just stick to that. You want to showcase FPV, showcase the drone and the machine that you're using, and play to its strengths. Do stuff that's dynamic, fly low, fly fast, wrapping things. You want to show that FPV can do something that no other camera can do. And that's what provides you value, is that you can do something with your particular machine that nothing else can.
Another thing we got to talk about is rules and regulations. So we're in the United States, so we have to fly according to FAA rules.
Yep.
One thing to keep in mind is this is a commercial shoot.
Yep.
I have accepted compensation in exchange for this shoot, and I monetize my YouTube channel. So anytime you got that kind of thing going on, it's a 107 operation. What kind of things do we need to think about here in order for this to be a legal 107 operation?
Yeah, so we're definitely going to look and use something like a loft air, and then that'll give you an idea of what the airspace is around is like. Following the rules is like, especially on bigger and bigger jobs, but really all the time, it's super important. You don't want anything to come back as far as you weren't supposed to fly here and get into trouble, because the first thing they're gonna do is revoke your 107, and then now you can't do professional work anymore.
So we're gonna check what the, if there are any restrictions for this area, and we're gonna check what the maximum altitude we can fly at is. And the good news is we are currently in a 50-foot ceiling. Just over that direction is a 0-foot ceiling, because there's an airport not too far from us.
Yeah.
But just that direction is a 100-foot ceiling.
Perfect.
So I think we're good to go as long as we don't go over by the lake.
Beautiful.
All right, since I'm gonna be riding the bike and you're gonna be flying, we're gonna have to grab one of these people over here.
That's right.
And just ask them to stand out of the shot.
Yeah.
So, and keep an eye on the drone and be the visual observer for you. Okay,
Yep.
we got to decide what drone we're gonna fly. So how do you pick, we're gonna be chasing a bike.
Okay.
How would you pick a drone to chase a bike versus a drone to, let's say, if somebody was walking or running versus chasing a car?
When you're flying around talent, like we are today, you have to, you have to keep them safe. So that safety is gonna be key in anything that you do. And when we're flying, most likely in a lot of these shots, in close proximity, you're gonna be going at speed like this. If you're flying something that could potentially harm you while you're going 15 miles an hour, then that is what you wanna stay away from. So we're definitely going to be flying a guarded drone of some kind.
So how about this little guy here? This is the GepRC Cinebot 3.0. It's a 3-inch Cinewhoop, and we've got the GoPro bones on it.
When looking at a Cinewhoop, what makes things fly way better in my experience is these nice thin guards like this. You wouldn't even necessarily call this a duct. It's not doing anything for the thrust, but it is guarding. Like you can tap this and they would be safe. It's lightweight, and what you really gain from it being a guarded drone versus a ducted drone is the ability to fly at speed with better. Like when there's a duct, it starts doing all these weird things. You get these shakes and it'll twist and follow the sky. But a guarded drone like this, most of them, and I assume this one, perform really well at these speeds that we're doing today on a bike. One thing that's really important is to know how fast said subject is going to be going. So that's where you would kind of talk through it, and you can try different speeds and say, you know, this thing has a speedometer, so say set it to 10 miles an hour and try and be as consistent as you can. One thing that is really difficult with FPV is if the subject cannot go a consistent speed, or if it's not easy to predict. So if somebody's just going out there, like if I were to tell you just go ride around the bike and I'm gonna get something cool, it would be really difficult to get good shots. But if I say, okay, you're gonna ride at this speed, going on this road, and you're gonna stop here or speed up here or whatever, then that's where you can predict and get ahead of the subject and really start to make something that's better than just you're chasing a random guy.
I like that.
So that is pretty sweet.
I think we don't want that for use on a professional shoot.
Probably not. It does look cool though.
Press that shoulder button. How much up tilt do you think you're gonna want?
Yeah, so I try to set it, I try and err on the side of lower than higher.
Okay.
I don't like to have too much sky. You know, you don't want to be, especially when you're doing any kind of slowing down, you don't want to have to look up at the sky.
Yeah.
I'd rather be lower and then be able to look down on the subject, be the side. So I think this is, what would you call it, 10, 15?
I mean, that's like 15 at like maybe at most.
Yeah, and then we're gonna try our best to match the camera, the GoPro, the best we can.
Yeah, okay.
Before we go, we're gonna wipe our lens and check that the best we can.
All right, so.
I think I was waiting for you to get in your one, so
Yeah.
a lot of this is just hovering.
Waiting for the, you're looking for me to get on my one. What's the one? For people who don't know.
Yeah, so I was talking about that as I was flying. So yeah, this was the one right behind that tree, so I was kind of waiting, and then I would kind of turn, and then I really wanted to just the viewer to feel the tree coming by and then to drop in. And the first one I was a little bit early, so just talked a lot about how there was a timing aspect to it.
That's nice. Yeah, you're right. A ducted drone would have, wow, you really whipped around it. A ducted drone really would have had a problem with that turn and that turn.
With the turn, it's just gonna be horrendous. As well, you like 10. There's like obviously it's comfort of the rider, but like you could definitely go faster because like as far as like
I could go faster.
Yeah, no, I'll on this one I'll try and go maybe 15.
Okay.
Because you want to feel the action. Like if something is really going slow, at some point you start to feel it that's going slow.
Well, it'd be good to have a little variety of speed too. Yeah, I mean, you could get some shots of just like cruising and riding. You know, I'm happy I'm riding my bike. You could get some more action shots where you're pumping the pedals. That's nice too. Oh, that's nice. That's got some potential. Near the end, I started trying to dive in and then kind of drop in front of you and fly backwards a little bit using my momentum. So, are you trying to think of this as kind of like a oneer? Or are you trying to get a series of individual shots that will cut together? Yeah, so a series of shots. So just moments. Like all this isn't a one-take shot, but trying to get a bunch of different moments. So yeah, you'll see you kind of pull off, reset, boom, get in the next one, and make the most of it. I do see that you're not doing a lot of like just tracking, chasing. Yeah. You're doing a lot of sort of dynamic movements around. Yeah, you want to be unique. You don't want to, if you're just sitting there chasing, like sure, we can get those and we can knock those out, but that is not what an FPV drone is really used for. Okay. Did you follow me up here into the woods at all? I went up into super, super dark with the sun in the shot like that. That's kind of cool. If you're low and the sun's kind of silhouetting, that's kind of cool. Oh, nice. Oh, I like that. I like the shadow. I like that. Oh, and then just right into a close shot. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Well, I want you to fly. Okay. Okay. He's pretty much at his one. First dive, I found the tree and I dove in. And I didn't get as close to you as I wanted to get. I was way behind you. And then I was high. And then I got around, but like it just didn't feel like that was. So now I kind of didn't know what to do with myself. So I chased you, but that's kind of a useless shot, right? That's not really used. So I was like, stop, do something interesting. So I tried to do another dive in. That I like. If I come in a little closer, See, I was behind you. If I had dove in like that and been a little closer, you're like freaking Michael Bay. He loves that shot.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I could be closer.
For sure.
So like this is what I'm thinking the whole time I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, next time I'm gonna do it better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's useful to review footage like that. You can look at it and be like, oh well, now that I see it. And you also have to keep in mind when you're doing flying with Reelsteady, especially, you don't want to be super tight because it's going to crop in.
Oh right.
So that's the thing, and you try to pick up. You get a feel for it. After doing a lot of it, but you don't want to be super tied in because Reelsteady will take you a little bit further.
So again, I kind of just got stuck behind. I was like, stop, don't do that. Go to the next shot.
It's hard.
So I'm going to try to do like a shot where I'm opposing you and I'm coming towards you and whip around. That I kind of liked. Just kind of whooshed.
Yeah.
Might need more setup. I don't know. And then here, there's just nothing I can do. But I actually kind of like the movement on this one.
Yeah, it's a cool, because you feel like you're in the trail with them, you know?
Yeah, I kind of like it. It's okay.
You know, I think the framing was good. That was cool too. Okay. Well, that turn, like coming to a stop there was good as well. You slowed down right with me, and I got off.
I wished I had kind of punched out it because I didn't really end the shot in a coherent way. So Evan, there's one more thing that we didn't discuss, and that is the audio. You can't use the live audio from the GoPro, right?
Exactly.
So what do professionals do?
Well, somebody way smarter and brighter than I would get a microphone, or maybe lots of microphones. There's some jobs where they have a microphone, or microphones on the subject, around the subject, and then I guess somebody in sound design can go in and they do that without the drone. So they get the subject to run without the drone. For example, today you just had your mic on the bike and you just did some blink runs, no drone, just going up and down, having some fun, but they can use the audio from that to mix in with the drone clip. So you're not going to use the drone audio or anything like that. There's all the wind noise.
You can't use the live audio at all because the drone is in the audio and you just don't want that.
You don't want that. You want to feel like make it look like a bird is flying around getting all these great shots, and then they can put in the audio from the blink run. So that's something that is done a lot, especially on these FPV type shoots. And again, it can get as elaborate or as simple as you want it to be.
Now that we got all the footage captured, you might think we're done, but actually that's only half the job. The next step is picking the music, editing the footage, color grading it, and of course, producing the final result. And I'm gonna show you that process as well as introduce you to somebody you've never met before after we take care of paying the bills. This is the Hovsco HovAlpha e-bike. This is actually my first e-bike, and I kind of like, okay, so it's a bike, but then it's got an electric motor so you don't have to pedal too hard. But I was really unprepared for how much freaking fun I had blasting this thing up and down those tracks while we were shooting this video. You know, you watch mountain bikes and so forth on like YouTube or television, and all those athletes with their powerful legs are bombing up and down mountains, and I want to do that, but I'm not a powerful athlete, so I just get really tired and then I stop. But with this thing, there is a 750 watt electric motor in the back hub. And as soon as I start to pedal, it just kicks in and takes over and makes it feel like I am 5 times more powerful than I really am. So right now it's at assistance level 3. We're going 21 miles an hour up this hill and we're just cooking. I mean, like, I'm barely pushing. Let's do a start from 0 with the thumb press. Ready? Here we go. Slow it down. Here we go. And go. Oh yeah. And 15 miles an hour, 17 miles an hour, 18, 18. Okay, 18. Coming to the end of the road. Yeah, so, you know. The HovAlpha's motor has a torque-based sensor that detects how hard you're pushing on the pedals and smoothly applies the power from the motor proportional to how hard you're pushing on the pedals. Just as I start to pedal, it just starts to push in a very natural way. So that especially like when you're trying to go slow and you really need precise control of the speed of the bike to make like a tight turn, it's not just, oh, get in there. See, it just really eases on the power there in a controllable way that lets you, it's just like riding a bike. The battery on the HovAlpha is 960 watt hours, and what that means in the real world is that you'll get about 60 miles of range in pure electric mode, or if you're willing to do some of the work, you'll get as much as 80 miles of range. When a manufacturer makes an e-bike, it's really important that they remember that it is a bike and not just an e-vehicle that they're trying to pawn off on somebody who doesn't know any better. Hovsco supplies the HovAlpha and all of their bikes with top-tier equipment, Shimano shifter and derailleur, and hydraulic disc brakes. Yes, bikes apparently have hydraulic disc brakes now. Thanks to Hovsco for sponsoring this video. If you're interested in learning more about this and the other products that they make, there's a link down in the video description to their website. And now it is time to talk about the editing process and show you the final result. And just like when I needed a pilot to make a commercial, I thought of Evan Turner and brought him in to do the heavy lifting. When it comes to editing a video like this, and especially the color grading, I'm not actually the best person for the job. I would like to introduce my editor, Fabio Pansera.
To begin, we are going to divide this in 3 phases. One is the Reelsteady go. The second one is the editing, and it will be done in Premiere. Third one is going to be the color correction and the color grading. So if you're watching this video, I assume that you are somewhat familiar with GoPros and their stabilization with Reelsteady Go, but for those of you that don't know, basically it's a software that uses the gyroscopic data recorded inside the GoPro while you're shooting the video in order to stabilize it basically at the millimeter for the American friends, I guess. Quarter of an inch, I don't even. So we also have to deal with the audio. Of course, there is the sound effects that we're going to use, and there are also songs, music in general. For today, we are going to use Epidemic Sound, which is basically an online library that you can pay for having basically all the contents you have there. You can use them even for commercial use, whether you use Epidemic Sound or anything else. Remember that the BPM of the song is going to inevitably give the pace of your edit. So be careful when you choose that. The nightmare is when you finish the edit, you're not convinced, you can't just change the song. You have to re-edit everything to the beat. And it's not pleasant. So regarding the editing, there are 2 schools of thoughts. One is color correction and color grading first and then edit. And the other one that is basically the opposite. So the color grading has to be done last. I'm not going to tell you whether one is better than the other, but I'm just more used to one, which is color correction and color grading first. The grading is inevitably going to set the mood of the video. Colors are really important. It's important to choose a palette that makes sense with your environment and with the subject that you want to show. In fact, in this case, we have some kind of, we call it wine color in Italy. The bike is a specific color that kind of tends sort of to blend in a bit with wood and in general with the trees in the forest. So we want to make it pop, and at the same time we don't want to oversaturate all the vegetation and all the plants that there are in the shot. It is really, really important to make the subject come alive, sometimes even at the expense of the beautiful background that you have set your shot in. Of course, it's extremely important that you choose colors you like. However, never, 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 never forget to ask the client if he has some reference in mind, because this could speed up things. It could potentially avoid redos that you might have to do in case you choose some colors that the client doesn't like. So as I said, I color corrected and graded first. So me not being a sound guy, I have to help myself through the edit by placing markers at what my not trained ear think that is the right beat for the right cuts. Then I proceed to check the beginning and the end of the clip, trim them, so I essentially delete everything that is not relevant, keep the best takes, put them together and start to do the edit. So like Evan was saying while shooting, it's important to kind of create a story throughout the video. Just play with the shots a bit and try to find what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, put them together, try to create a story and really focus on the product. And of course you can use some techniques like speed ramps, like slow-mos. Just remember that you have to do it in this phase, not later, because if you change any duration of a clip, Basically, you are a bit screwed because you have to redo everything again to make it match with the music. And here is the final result.
Impressed with that, but like we just went out there and kind of farted around for like 3 hours, and then yeah, it's so good. That's so good for the amount of work we put in. I'm so impressed. I got to say thank you to Fabio. First of all, I can't believe what you did with this video, man. The whole thing is amazing. Thank you to Evan Turner, his company, Fly533, linked in the video description. He makes racing drones as well as a million other things that he does. And also thanks to Hovsco for sponsoring this video. Yes, it's cool that I got a bike out of it. I did want the bike, but also it's cool that it inspired me to get this video, which is a little bit outside of what I normally would do. So hope you enjoyed it. Looking forward to more. See you in the next one.